Welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Algared and I'm joined by my partner in crime, Execute. And today we have a special for you, and we're going to kick it right off by talking about the skins that are coming with IAE.
So let's kick it off to the browser straight off. This is a prep episode, actually, essentially, for
Yep.
AIE. So they dropped these on Twitter, and basically, yeah, these are the best in show ones. What's your thoughts on those, Algared, I guess?
I've got to admit, you sent them to me, and I had a look at them on my phone. And I went, nah, they're skins. I think my response was, meh. But looking at them, they actually look not too bad. Kind of a metallic sheen when you had all four of them.
Very
Yeah,
pearlescent, aren't they?
very purpley, but not ghastly purple.
I think
So,
from
yeah.
a pearlescent perspective, they're probably the... I don't know whether you like the color or not. I'm talking about more like the finish. They're the best finish we've had for
Yeah.
AIE skins. Whether the color speaks to you personally is entirely up to you. But yeah, so a bit of a prep for this. Obviously, you can own the ship, and you'll get that skin on Best in Show Day or at the end of the sale. It's usually Best in Show Day, which is I think that'll be the 26th. Oh God, I don't have the date. I think it's the 26th, 27th. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it's the second last big day of the sale, so to speak. And then the other way that I want to recommend to people that if you don't have the ship is you can buy a CCU to that ship. And as long as it has that AIE logo on it, and it'll more than likely be a purple one this year. So you may have seen previous CCUs that were white, red, blue, and different colors. Whatever this year's color theme is, they'll have that little thumbnail on it. And sometimes they'll, if you're using certain mods, they'll have a picture of the ship with the skin in it. So that's a cheaper way to include that into your CCU chains, and that will give you the skin for that ship at a future date. Also, if people want to buy them off you, you can play that gamble. But again, as the game goes more and more along, more and more people get educated, it's going to be harder to sell off these skins. Like, for example, getting the black, white, and gold colored theme skins is a lot harder these days than getting these, because a lot of people are learning how it works now. But down the road, you know, if you know a friend or a significant other or someone like that that just happens to be into purple, maybe you want to collect them a set of these if you're so inclined. So that's another way without having to actually outlay for the entire ship. Is there anything you want to add to that, Algrid?
Yeah, I think I'm going on memory, and I could have this totally wrong because I tend not to worry about the CCUs for the ships because I tend to have them. But from memory, the CC, when you get the CCU, if it's got anything extra, it usually indicates that at some point as well. So
Yep, it does too.
So you can also double check what's included with that.
Yeah,
as well, just to double check you're getting them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. So the next thing I think we'll go on to, Algrid, if you think it's okay, is the ship increases. So Jake,
Yeah. So
drop
we've
this.
just had sorry.
No,
we
go
had
ahead.
a message on Spectrum indicating some price increases are inbound.
Yep.
And some of them.
The most significant one or two to worry about is obviously they've preemptively put up the whole D. Now, we were kind of expecting that, but it's only jumped by $100, which probably means when it actually comes out, it's going to go up by another 50, which is what we were expecting. So they've beat people to the punch on that one. They've saw a way to grab some extra cash. But the one that's going to really stuff a lot of the people now, obviously since CitizenCon, me and Alga get a lot of people coming to us, and I've had a lot of people asking me about the Orion. So that's the one that I'm mainly concerned about. So all those people are going to now have to, it's kind of the reason why we're doing this episode, is because you're going to have to shift and be prepared for that. Because a lot of people's like, damn, I've just lost, you know, essentially now got to pay an extra $75. But again, if you're doing those Warbond CCUs, your savings has probably been reduced.
Yep.
That's the way you need to look at it. Yeah.
I suppose also some people who may have had, who were looking at getting an Orion CCU and they'd gone beyond that with their previous CCUs, those older CCUs may actually now come back into play because it you know, if they had one that was above $525 before, now it comes into play as being useful for the Orion. So
there's
it
some
does
weird,
muck up.
yeah, there's some weird choices there. Like, and I often start to think, why is this like this, and why have these particular ships been moved? So I start to look up the list. Right, you can pick up the whole D1 and the Orion pretty easily. But I go to the Redeemer. It's like that's the only ship that I'm aware of that's at 325, and now they've made it exactly the same price as the Caterpillar. Why? You know what? Why? Because you could have upgraded to the Caterpillar for $5. So it's almost like they're. You remember how they had them spaced out? It's like now someone else is working there because they've changed marketing people, and now they're pushing them back to be the same price again, which is, I don't know why they've done that, but they are. Again, the Aquila's a really weird one because now it's $5 above the mole. So now you can go from the Amol to the Aquila. Weird things like that. The Taurus is another one, and the Hornet. The only way I can't really, I don't really understand some of them. So again,
The
we're gonna
Hornet,
we're gonna find out at the sale, aren't we? Is why they've done this.
the Hornet to me doesn't make too much sense unless they're doing it to tie in with the release of the
Mark II.
Santa Claus when it
No,
or the Santa Claus when it comes out as well, because they're both
I
medium.
think it is
But
far more likely the Mark II. They've been finding the Mark II in the files, so I think it's going to be a little bit like the F8 Lightning again. They're going to probably sell that Mark II, and they've found it in the files, and it's somehow tied in with Luminari events. So they think there's some kind of event coming in December that's much like the F8C and the gold tickets. They've found a gold ticket thing. I think it was called Dark Harvest or something like that. So it's some kind of Christmas event where you can essentially get like a gold ticket to buy the F8. Not the F8, sorry, the Mark II. So yeah, so get your wallets ready for that one as well if you want to, if you're after a Mark II. Now I don't know if it's the real Mark II, as in the F8 F7A, but I think it is more likely to be the body kit. But again, there's going to be a scramble for that because that thing's up to like $400 at the moment. So they're jumping on that again, Algared, I think, finally.
yeah, well, we've always got to make sure we differentiate between the F7C and the FAs, and that's always hard. And then whether we go the older models of the F7C versus the Mark II models of the F7C. So there's kind of two things that are going on, and I'm not sure which.
Yeah. I think you would. Well, I think that's probably why this is possibly going up a bit, because they're going to put the Mark II just above it. If they don't allow you to buy a CCU though for that, I will be very disappointed, because every Super Hornet owner or just a Hornet owner is going to want to consider that. And if you make it cash only, it's going to ruffle a lot of feathers, because it's like, well, I bought that with the intention to turn it into that, and now I can't because you're making me buy it for full price. So again, just be ready, be prepped. Worst case scenario, you know, hope for the best, prepare for the worst type of thing. But if that comes true, I think I'm going to be a little miffed personally. But we'll have to wait and see. But it also means it's able to go in game. So all those people that have had, you know, that upgrade for all these years, which is like, I think it was 2013, so it's a 10-year wait. We'll actually finally be able to use that ship.
Yep.
Right.
The Taurus doesn't surprise me because that is a cheaper ship. And I think it's too cheap for what it is. But
tractor beams. You reckon it's tractor beams?
Probably the tractor beams, because they are coming in. The tractor beams are pretty cool, even though they don't really work on it at the moment, as we discovered.
Yeah.
The Aquila, that's the one that makes me scratch my head a little bit. The Redeemer makes me scratch my head a little bit. The Hull D, no brainer, because the Hull C's currently more expensive than it at its current price. And the Orion, I think that price increase ties in directly with the Arastra, or however you say that word, because I always stuff it up.
Me too, Arastra. It's a bit complicated. So some other little things that I just want to drop here that I haven't actually discussed with you, so I just want to let you know. There is no mention of the Cutter Expedition in the files at the moment. So it looks like it, but it has been slated for the 22 patch. So it looks like that'll drop to December as well. So potentially the starter or the cheaper price, I think it's going to be a vehicle. Knowing that the storms are coming in, the Storm AA, that is your LTI token essentially, and you have to assume that at the what was it? It was $80 for the Storm, and then $10 on release, and the Storm AAA. I think we were potentially looking at an LTI token that's $100. So it's going to be another expensive one from that point of view.
$90 to $100, yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, it's going straight to flyable, so I've got to assume it's $10 more than the Storm, but then $10 more because it's coming out. So that's why I said it's roughly 100. That's my guess, right? It isn't only a guess, but again, prepare for the worst, expect the best, or whatever.
I think we'd find. I think we'd find the. Sorry, I just had a call coming through.
That's all right.
I think we'd find the normal bond price being 100, the warm bond price when it first comes out being a little bit cheaper than that. But that's me doing a guess as well.
Yeah,
So
let's hope they've got a cheaper LTI
yeah,
token this time around. But again, we just wanted to let you guys know because, again, that's what this whole episode's about, is just prepping, because there's a lot that's up in the air this year. And we are going into, that hype of CitizenCon has kind of carried through a whole month. I was surprised it did, but it really has. And I normally don't start to get a lot of questions until like the week before, and I've been getting questions all month. And I know it's been the same for you as well, Algared. So there's definitely there's something in the air
yeah.
that's just a little different this year. So again,
Now,
from our thumbnail here, prepare your wallets, because
yeah, yeah. Now the other thing is, and this I think comes out of discussions that were on the live stream on Friday, is the CCUs.
yeah,
So we've talked that, hey, prepare for CCU, prepare yourself, CCUs are coming, change are coming. But lots of people are saying, well, what is a C, what are we talking about?
yeah,
how do we do a change? Where do I start with a chain?
yeah.
Um,
So before we go into this, I just want to say, if you already know this stuff, that's fine. But we are preparing for a lot of new people. And secondly, if you know this stuff, please teach it to other people, because it's damn complicated. And
yeah,
it's rather stressful. So we're going to try to do this as briefly as we can. So go for it, Alfred.
yeah. And mark the time, because we are going to put the little thing up in the corner, so you can actually click on our.
Up there in the corner, there'll be a card. And on that card is all our CCU guides from the past. There's only about 6 of them. So if you want to teach yourself, that's the way to do it.
That'll be what you do. But the very first thing that I always do when I'm looking at a CCU, if I'm looking to start a CCU chain, is go, what is the ship I'm trying to get to?
Yep.
And the very first thing I do is get a CCU to that ship.
Yep.
And I get it from a ship that's closest to it, that's always available.
Yep.
So, and I get the cheapest one I can get. And the value of that is it locks that ship in that I want at its current price.
Yeah. And that's
so any future price increases, I'm immune to it at that point.
That is the one thing you take away from this video as a new person. That is it, right? And then it gets more complicated from there, right? But if that's the only thing you want to protect yourself, like your brain can't take all this shit in. That's the one thing that Algared just said. Buy the ship, CCU to the ship that you want, and get the smallest price you can from the ship behind it. So a good example that I'll often recommend, Algared, is the Endeavor, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to lock in the Endeavor, the closest ship to the Endeavor right now is the Starfarer Gemini. So you can get a CCU from the Gemini to the Endeavor for $10. And that means any future price increases protect you on that. So that's just a real simple example to go along with what Algared just said. All right.
Yeah.
I think the next point, Algared, would be getting an LTI token. Would you kind of agree with that?
Yeah.
Now, again, if this one does turn out to be $100, now we're not saying it will, well, potentially it could be, right? But if it is, you could also consider another sale down the road where there'll be a cheaper LTI token, especially if you're been in the game a lot longer and you've got a lot of credits saved up. You don't want to spend your cash. What is an LTI token? That is essentially a ship that you buy that comes with lifetime insurance, LTI, that'll then, as you apply CCUs to it, it will keep that lifetime insurance. So instead of buying a ship outright and just having 6 months or 10 months insurance, it allows you that security to always have insurance. And so essentially, whatever base vehicle you start with, it keeps those values as it goes up. I think that covers that, Algared, would you?
Yeah, and it's like, if you're looking at buying a bigger ship, I think the bigger ships are the ones you really want to get that LTI on, just because
what would you say?
Those ships are going to be more expensive to get to repair and do stuff to later down the track. So,
any ship over $250, I would start to think of, because the way AIE have not AIE, sorry, the CIG have kind of priced LTI is it's roughly worth about $15, right? But for $15, you get that lifetime insurance, right? But in this case, if you're buying fresh cash, in the past it was worth about $15. But again, as Algared said, a bigger ship is just so much more worth having, to the point they automatically give you LTI if you purchase a ship over $1,000, right? So you don't have to worry in that case. But yeah, Algared's absolutely right. Bigger ships is the way to go. I think
after you've got your start CCU and your your optional LTI token to start your chain from, the next step is starting to buy your war bond CCUs. That's CCUs that are being sold for fresh cash, and when they come out, those ones usually have a discount.
Yep.
And it's those discounts that are going to help bring that price down, and why a lot of people use CCUs and make CCU chains.
And just like that, the reason why Algared said to buy the smallest CCUs possible at the top, it's to give you those big gaps to put as many war bond CCUs in that gaps as possible, right? And that's just bringing the savings down and down, because the more war bond CCUs you can buy, the more savings you get. And then the last step is to just use credit or cash to connect all those. Now, if you don't have enough money to buy a big ship, like Algared said, you can just buy it and fill it in later over time. But the advantage of being able to complete it, or like fill in the gaps, is that it protects you from future price increases. And we've even got CCUs where certain ships have jumped in front of others, and we will still apply them because they'll go, it's still connected, right? So we've still got those savings. It just stops you from getting future savings, essentially. And that's where it starts to become really confusing. So I think this is about where we need to kind of stop, because if we go too much further, we're going into advanced stuff, and you'll find that stuff up in the card.
In those CCU guides. And we will do another CCU guide based on the CCUs, war bond and otherwise, that come out this year.
Absolutely.
We'll pick a ship and we'll actually do a CCU up to that ship and show you how you would do that. And maybe, just maybe, we'll actually
give it away too. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
Build one and give it away. Maybe.
Well, it depends what ships there are. That's what I mean. Right. Like, if it comes out and there's nothing of interest, we'll just be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
But there is one up there that I'm particularly proud of, because we've never had anyone record building a CC chain and applying it out, because we had to give one away. So it's up there in the cards. But I think that covers everything. So yeah, prepare your wallets. Algared, what would you like to hear from people below in the comments?
Yeah, what are you hoping to see in terms of CCUs? If you're new to the game, was that helpful?
Yeah.
If you've got any questions, please put them in. We will try and answer them. We do read every comment.
Yep. I'd also say, if you need help with CCUs, jump on our Discord. The link is in the description below. There is a whole channel dedicated to CCU helpers. They have a square tealy green icon, and they have been vetted by us to help. And if it is really complicated, they'll pump it up to us to assist as well. But there is heaps of people in there. It's a community that loves to help each other, much like Star Citizen in general. So if you are after help, ask around, ask friends if you need help. And if you don't have any friends, then come to us and we're more than happy to help. I'd like to hear from you guys in the comments below. Does the prices annoy the shit out of you? Because I know there's people that were planning to buy certain ships, and it's now kind of at least stuff with their plans somewhat. So yeah, hopefully too many of you haven't been affected by this too much. But yeah, best laid plans. There may be still a little bit of time to possibly pick some up on the grey market, but again, I think, knowing the grey market, those prices have already jumped. So I think, unfortunately, you're a bit too late. And I feel for you guys, but it's just the way the world works. All right, with that then, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and thank you to the new people on the Patreon. We got some new patrons today, so yeah, thank you very much. At the end of the credits, he's been Algared.
He's been Execute, and we're out of here.
Catch you in the next one. Bye.